This year, it's just been weird. We didn't get to go and hang out with everybody and mingle between schools, which it's a pandemic, so it kind of makes sense. But it's been weird not getting to be a leader within a bigger group.
Last year, along comes this pandemic and slaps a 24-hour drum right in the face. Knocked us on our back. Our people have been through many changes over time, and we've always managed a way to bounce back and fight back. We have seen leadership develop within our groups here over the years. We now have strong leaders in the community. Our leaders from Squamish, Whistler to Pemberton to Mount Currie have all contributed in different ways towards our 24-hour drum project.
In Chashakta, Lil'wat, Statlimkan, Ukumurkan. What I have said there is my Indian name is Nikki, and my name Yakta, and I'm from Lil'wat territory.
My name is Brittani Peters. I'm from the Kwakwa Nation, a neighbor of the Lil'wat Nation. Lots of my blood comes from Lil'wat Nation. I work as an Indigenous support worker, so I do lead the Indigenous Leadership program at Pemberton Secondary.
Well, I really like Aboriginal leadership because you feel like you're wanted somewhere. If it wasn't there, it's like at a big school, no really room to go. I think a lot of the people here would be pretty lost.
Inchas, Kamuda, Lil'wat Muthkan. My Ukumyuch name is Kamuda, and I am from the Lil'wat Nation. When I'm in Aboriginal leadership, I feel safe. In Aboriginal leadership, no one is higher or lower, we're all just equals.
Inchas, Pakamua, Lil'wat Ukumyukan, Statlimkan. Shamat Squachicha, Selby.
My name is Dylan. I've been a part of Aboriginal leadership since grade 9, so it's been a long time. I used to be the youngest person in there, so now that I'm the oldest, I don't have any familiar faces.
This is our first field trip because of COVID that we get to spend this amazing time together in such a beautiful place. And I like to remind them how lucky we are to live in this place it has everything we need to thrive and to live comfortably. And you know, our people leave markings everywhere all over our territory to show that our people have been here for thousands of years.
Inches Rolgalalu, Spiechamgel, Shama and Squatchy Chetalan Pascal, Lil'wat Ulchan, Statlimochan, Uchamilchan. We're here at the Lil'wat Nation birthing rock here, and it's a rock carving, and it depicts a woman giving birth. And traditionally back in the day, a lot of the pregnant women would come up here to fast to cleanse their bodies and get their minds ready for the birth. I was always told that the first woman who made this was a medicine woman, so my dad was telling me that she was powerful enough to carve this design right out with her own finger. Right over here is supposed to be where the image of the placenta and the baby are, but it's really faded, so you can't really see it anymore due to a lot of the mountain bikers that used to come through here and just kind of use this as kind of a jump sort of thing. And we finally were able to close it off with the fencing here, so they couldn't do it anymore.
To see this fence put up around our sacred area and protecting it is amazing. The mountain bikers, the explorers, they all need to know, what's sacred to us and to respect our land.
I was really grateful for this experience, and I think that if we could just share it with more people who recreate on these lands, it will build more respect and more connection with the communities.
Us as Ukwamiyuch, I consider us as we're the protectors of the land. The people and the land are one. And I know our children and our youth, they know it, they feel it.
I know a lot of you guys are familiar with the Hope Chase. You remember how we raise our hands, right, to that? So sometime in the future, some of you guys will be the ones that will be the leaders that will be in my shoes, right? So you guys will be sharing teachings one day. So we're going to start off with the Hope Chase, the honor song. Hope Chase. Osqual Tinoyap, Aptani Queensna, Nealthquin Islaya Quishamin, Tanachin Tla Stop Miss Hochumil, where would come Hochumil, Skoholt Mashof, Awan Nox and Squawin, Ealt and Sequito Chenquin Mentomi.
Oh, are we starting?
Yeah.
Hasqual, Jasmine Queens Na, Tanashin Kla, Captain Ochumea, Nuts and Squalwin. My name is Jasmine. I'm in 8th grade. This is my second year of leadership.
Hasqual, my name is Nathan. My culture's name is New Chowneth and they live in Gold River. We are currently working on designs to put on our drums.
Hasquayal, my name is Jasmine and we are working on art on drums.
We made the drums originally and it was pretty fun. I hurt my hands a little bit, but that's fine.
We talked to the youth about what they wanted to put on the drum and choosing their own designs for the drum. I shared how it's important to put what you relate to on the drum. And by doing that, they leave a legacy for future generations coming down around that use those drums.
On my drum design, it's the big house, but inside there's like a big fire and then there's like the stands where people sit and people standing around the fire and then the deer, the bear, and then there's the CM line for the highly respected chiefs and people that have passed away that walk through or just watch.
Well, what I'm doing is a two-headed snake wrapping around a rainbow sword, and that's inside of a diamond, a multicolored diamond eye of a wolf.
Wolves, I feel like they speak to me like a spirit animal. I went hunting and before that I put my uncle's dog down and a pack of wolves went right in front of us. And it's happened to me a couple times and I feel like they're trying to talk to me in a way that I can't really understand.
I chose to do a sun and moon and some stars. The moon kind of represents my happiness and the sun more represents like the devil's hour because I don't really like going outside in the sun even though I'm outside right now.
The diamond part is like maybe kind of part of the universe. Red as in fire, blue as in water, yellow kind of as in the sun, and green as in like trees and grass and plants.
It wasn't too long ago I wasn't able to be as proud as I am today, and part of that was, you know, the racism, right? So that's why I figured sharing that what I'm proud about is culture, is through art and drumming and singing. It will help them kind of like hold each other up.
No Chilchman Mahat, Cohelia Coshaman, Jocelyn Queen Sna, Tnachin Tla, Cautena Chomeo, Almanaxton Squalin, Ailton Squadles, Chinquimintomi.
Yeah, so my name's Jodh. I'm a grade 10 student here at Howestone Secondary School, and I've lived all my life here in Squamish.
Greetings. I'm Matthew Newman. I was born and raised in this town. I am 25% Squamish Nation. Since I was mainly raised in a family that didn't follow a lot of Aboriginal pastimes, I guess, I'm very disconnected from my past, my Aboriginal history.
This year we've been talking about how racism has affected everybody in our school and in other schools across the corridor. So I think racism, it's the things that have been said have just been from other people passing the word on, or the phrase that they've been saying on, and they don't know the meaning behind what they're saying. They don't know the history and what we've gone through as people.
Even in a society where we don't have residential schools, but all those impressions are still here in our society, that's just very surprising to me as a person.
Firstly, my grandfather. He's done a few talkings on residential schools, and specifically the one he had actually made his way out of. Being that he's a survivor, he's taught me quite a bit on res schools, which I believe if I kept in the regular schooling system, I wouldn't have learned as much.
A lot of what we see are microaggressions. These often come from misconceptions that we find in the media. Many people don't understand what Indigenous people have been through, and they don't have proper understanding of history, and then they make these types of comments.
Often these comments are not intended to cause harm, but are harmful because they're based on stereotypes. So here are some examples of these types of statements.
There is some appreciation, but there is also some people that just don't understand and think of us as a big joke in the hallways and in the classrooms, and even some of the teachers. We are people and we have feelings, and we just want a little more respect about our culture, just like everyone else.
Hi, I'm Raylan, and I'm part of the Indigenous Leadership group at Whistler Secondary.
In Chash Sky, and my Okamucha name is Tilkt. It means sky.
My name is Simona, and I'm in Aboriginal Leadership, and I really love it.
In Chash Sachi, my Ukumich name is Tuk Tuk Zuch, and it means flying squirrel.
I'm super excited about our Whistler Secondary kids. They want to have a voice, and they want to be change makers. And I think, and I keep telling them, you guys are transformers. You're transforming the way our school is.
In Chash Janice, and my Uklamush name is Teltul, and Tanina gave that to me because I have a calming spirit.
In Chash Michaela, my Uklamuch name is Shachmau, which means agate.
In Chash Kasey, my Uklamuch name is Pluk. Tanina gave me this name because it means smoke rising from the ashes.
The whole thing makes it sound like both parties belong to each other, whereas
we were given some Indigenous books from the library to look at them and decide whether they were potentially outdated or
whether they were okay to have in the libraries, whether they'd be beneficial for some people to read.
Indigenous people help in the making of
I found a photo that's really interesting.
So I started off with talking to them about systemic racism. And you know, the girls were concerned, like, well, how do we talk about this? And I want you to dig deep because you've experienced this in this country. It doesn't matter if you have brown skin or white skin or yellow skin. We all have experienced systemic racism. White supremacy, white fragility, white privilege.
Every white person has privilege that is unearned. It's not often talked about between white people. So I think, and a lot of people in our school are white, and a lot of people in our community are white. And when you're trying to make an environment where you can learn and connect and have understanding, it was really important for people to take that step of learning about their own privilege.
White fragility is when a white person is confronted with a racist act or a joke or something that they said, and they put up a defense against it and they say, well, I was only joking, or I wasn't trying to be racist, and essentially they deny that they could have any implications in that manner because they think of themselves as a good person, and so obviously they can't do something so cruel. And so, yes, you might feel defensive, yes, you're going to feel uncomfortable, and that's okay, it's a natural response, and you don't need to be shamed for that as long as you're open and willing to learn about it.
So we learned about microaggressions, and those are basically like comments or questions that are like directed to people of like marginalized groups. For example, like seeing a person of color or something and being like, you look very exotic. Or what I've gotten, for example, is like, where are you really from, when I tell people that I live here.
Yeah, so I'm bi, so I can't change who I am, and they can't change what their skin color is. And people discriminating them for something they can't control is not really right, and it's not okay. So I get it in a way.
We have learned about the idea of being called out, and that is when someone's using an outdated context or racial slur, and someone could call them out saying that what they said was wrong or unkind. So we can be like, oh, thank you for informing me. Now I can learn from that, and I can be a lot more aware of others in the future.
So we decided to do a Zoom assembly, basically, and that allowed us to incorporate things like videos and survey that we're doing as well.
We put a lot of thought and effort into how it would be so it wouldn't affect people and make them feel uncomfortable, because not many people really talk about it much, so we thought that we should probably start talking about it a bit more.
It's going to be shared in all of the classes, and it's just going to try to reach everyone in the school, hopefully.
What systemic racism does, it prohibits you from being a human being, and it prohibits you from seeing others as humans. And how does that affect you in your daily life? And I said, nobody's safe from that.
When we are feeling a little bit nervous, we always can call on our ancestors to guide us and to give us strength. We've been talking about the power of song and to connect us to each other and to Mother Earth. So I think a good way for us to set the tone to calm our hearts and minds and give us strength would be to start with a song. Stopmis School is on the traditional village of Stopmis, our oldest Squamish village, in the shadow of the chief. It houses 2 programs, Untitled Chapter, cultural journeys, and then learning expeditions, which is the high school program that the leadership students come from, is a project-based learning school.
What I feel about performing in front of an audience is that it's nervous, just in case if you like mess up and you can't like turn back. And it makes me feel free, and makes me feel happy because I'm showing people around like the world what we do.
They're all very passionate about drumming, singing, and dancing. It's something that's important to them. There's so much more to the songs and dances than just the music and movement. There's stories that are connected to them, there's protocols, there's history, there's a reverence and respect that needs to go with it. And so they wanted to share that.
I like dancing because it just makes me really happy if I'm upset or depressed about something, because then I can focus on that instead of what I was worrying about.
Hawk Squall, Sebastian, Queen Sna, Tinachin, Klaska, Homan Shokamel, Unrenounced and Squallowin, Elton Squito, Chanquamantomi, Hawk Squall the Seats, Elt Noyat, Mitchell the Seats. I'm Sebastian and I live in Squamish. Well, part of the making the drums is first you have the wood part that goes in like the circle. So you put the skin down on like a table or something. You have to go in like a certain pattern of the string goes through one hole and then it goes across to the other and through the one that's right beside it, and then it crosses all the way over to a different one. It gets really complicated when you do it. I like all the types of outfits that you can wear with it, like the designs on the blankets that they have, headbands, the hats. I have a headband on and this like scarf on me, but this is supposed to keep all the positive stuff inside and stuff, keep all that goodness. It's pretty much like a filter, let out all the negative stuff, but it keeps in all the positive stuff.
Okay, yeah, sure, okay, that sounds good.
Hathkaquile Solem, greeting of the day, comes from our ancestor Sequalia Aunt Sally. She would sing the song each morning after walking. It is a song about giving gratitude for all our blessings.
The song we would like to share with you now is called the Tum Tum Slolum Snowbird Song. This song comes from Sesolia, who is the wife of Chief Billy. This song is usually sung as a prayer or blessing song.
The Welcome Song, aka the Celebration Song. This song was received by CCM, aka Ray Natrero. It's a song that is used to honor and welcome guests.
So in 1972, a group of parents that took over the Indian Day School and founded what we have today as Haitala Community School. The dream was to have an outdoor school with a mission and vision, learning from the past and present to create strength for our future. and instilling pride in who we are so our children will become our future leaders.
Kaswa'alap inches ha'ya in Lil'wat Squamish. Their vision was to have an outdoor school through the summer here, and they called it Lil'wat Place, an outdoor land school. They asked me to teach cultural studies and language revitalization. I've been teaching the language now probably for around 40 years.
And they were very kind and patient and helpful in sharing.
In the tents, the grade 12 students, they make their own drum, and they've also made cedar hats. Even when they're way out somewhere, and they would weave a hat if they needed one.
How much? Good enough.
We have a routine. We start off with a song and a prayer. Anytime we talk about our land or practice our culture, we always start off with a song and a prayer. A tradition every year, they open the school with a salmon dinner here, a salmon barbecue.
There was kind of like a base camp here, and we'd take a boat and we'd go down to the end of the lake where we had another camp set there. And from that camp we'd go out hunting, we'd go berry picking, we'd go fishing. It instilled pride. I was proud of who I was. That's when I first started to learn my language, because when I was in the Indian day school, I didn't learn my language. We have the ishkins here that we built when we were kids, and ishkin is a pit house, underground house, where you would go in through the top and there was a ladder you climbed down.
That was just one of our ways before too, is young people chose someone that they went out and learned from. And the word is Tiwachinap Minchash, you know, the one that teaches me. If you introduce yourself to someone, you always told who you were, your parents and your family, and where they're from.
Today, when I stood around the circle and listened to the children introducing themselves in their language, and I watch our elders are there teaching the children the language.
I'm really honored to be a part of what's happening here now, and it really shows with the kids. They seem to be more attentive when you're talking about cultural things or learning the language. They're so much more open to learning the traditional way.
I was telling the kids I could feel it in here, I could feel it in my heart, because I could feel the parents who had that courage to take that stand and who are now passed on. I could feel them smiling, I could feel them happy, because I know the parents who are out there who have passed on, they know that we're carrying on with the mission and vision that they had in mind when they told those nuns it's time to go. We're going to take over education for our children. The kids are learning now that we are not only confined to the reservation. We are still the rightful owners to our unceded traditional territory. And so now we're introducing the kids to all these different sites, and at the same time letting them know that we have our way, we have our culture, we have our identities.
When I was young, there was very few of us that were practicing and learning our culture. and to know that, you know, there's these groups at all these different schools, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, that are learning about our culture and our history and our way of being in the world. It's a hopeful time, and a time of reconciliation and a time of reclamation.
Our elders need to realize that they have knowledge and they need to feel comfortable enough to want to share that with the children again, because it's our elders who have the language, elders who have the culture, the elders who have the traditional teachings that need to be passed on to these children in order to instill that pride in who they are.
I want to help involve other cultures to learn more about their culture, and I want to be a real leader in the community, and I want to grow up to be like Auntie Shar.
Oh my God. What an honor and what a responsibility, but like, yeah.